Good morning, my friends. I want to share something that sounds simple on the surface, but it carries real weight once you actually live it out. The way you begin your morning shapes the direction of your entire life. A lot of people believe success comes from some hidden strategy, a lucky break, or knowing the right people. But honestly, it's much quieter than that. It's built through small decisions you make every single day, especially in those first moments after you wake up. Think about it. Every morning is like being handed a clean page. Nothing written yet. No mistakes, no wins, just space. What you choose to do with that space matters more than most people realize. If you waste it, the rest of your day usually follows that same pattern. But if you use it with intention, things start to shift over time in a big way. Waking up early, before everything gets loud and busy, gives you something rare. It gives you space to think. No notifications, no pressure, no one asking anything from you. Just quiet. Just you. And in that quiet, something interesting happens. Your thoughts become clearer. You can actually hear yourself think without interruption. You can plan your day without feeling rushed. You can look at your life honestly, without distractions pulling you away from what really matters. It's not always easy, though. Getting out of bed when it's still dark, when everything in you wants to stay comfortable, that takes effort. But that's where discipline starts to grow. And once you build that, it shows up everywhere else, your work, your relationships, your goals. Waking up early isn't just about having more hours. It's about having better hours. Time where your mind hasn't been cluttered yet, your energy hasn't been drained, and your focus is still sharp. While most people are still asleep, you're already moving forward. You're thinking, learning, building. That alone can create a gap between you and the average routine most people fall into. Now, one of the best things you can do in that time is something that feels almost too simple: just sit in silence for a few minutes. No phone. No music. No distractions. Just sit there and breathe. At first, your mind might feel noisy. Thoughts jumping around, reminding you of things you need to do, things you forgot, things you're worried about. But if you stay there for a bit, it starts to settle down. Kind of like muddy water that slowly clears if you leave it alone. And in that stillness, you begin to notice what's actually going on inside you. What's been bothering you? What you're excited about? What you've been avoiding? That quiet space connects you back to yourself in a way most people don't experience anymore because they wake up and immediately grab their phone. Messages, news, updates, it all rushes in before they've even had a second to think. So instead of starting fresh, they carry yesterday's stress straight into a new day without realizing it. But when you give yourself even 10 minutes of silence, it's like clearing out the noise. You feel lighter. More focused. More in control of your own thoughts instead of reacting to everything around you. And that control matters. Because once your mind is steady, you can start to move your body. After sleeping all night, your body is stiff, your energy is low, and everything feels slow. But the moment you start moving, even something small like stretching or walking, you wake everything up. Your blood starts flowing faster. Oxygen reaches your brain. You feel more alert, more alive. It's not about intense workouts or trying to look a certain way. It's about sending a signal to yourself that you're ready to show up for the day. Even a few push-ups or a short walk can change how you feel mentally. It builds a sense of commitment. Like you're keeping a promise to yourself before the day even begins. A lot of people wait until they feel like it to exercise, but that feeling doesn't just appear. Action creates it. The days you feel the least motivated are usually the days you need movement the most. Because when you move, you shake off that heavy, low energy state. You release tension. You clear your head. And over time, it builds more than just physical strength. It builds resilience. Focus. The ability to push through resistance instead of giving into it. After that, take a moment to figure out your top priorities for the day. Not a long list. Not 10 different things pulling you in every direction. Just 3. Ask yourself, what actually matters today? What would make this day feel meaningful if I completed it? When you try to do everything, you end up scattered. Busy, but not really moving forward. But when you narrow it down, your energy becomes more focused. You stop reacting to every little thing that comes your way. You start leading your day instead of being pulled through it. And that shift is powerful. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how much you did. It's about whether what you did actually mattered. When you focus on your top priorities, you start building real progress. Step by step. Day by day. And that's how change actually happens, not all at once, but through consistent, intentional mornings that slowly shape everything that follows. Once you've set your priorities, there's something else that can quietly shape your entire mindset for the day, what you choose to feed your mind in those early hours. In the morning, your mind is open. It hasn't been pulled in different directions yet. It's more receptive, more impressionable. Kind of like fresh ground before anything's planted. And whatever you put into it first tends to stick. If the first thing you take in is negativity, complaints, stressful news, random noise, it starts to color how you see everything that follows. Small problems feel bigger. Your patience gets shorter. Your focus drifts. But if you choose to start with something uplifting or thoughtful, it has the opposite effect. Reading a few pages from something meaningful, or listening to something that challenges your thinking in a good way, can shift your perspective more than you expect. It doesn't have to take long either. Even a few minutes can make a difference. It reminds you that growth is possible. That people have faced difficult situations and still found a way forward. That there's always another angle, another solution, another path. Most people don't realize how much what they consume shapes how they think. They are careful about what they eat, but not about what they allow into their mind. And over time, that adds up. If you consistently feed your mind with things that expand your thinking, you start to approach life differently. Challenges don't feel like dead ends anymore. They feel like something you can walk through. Right after that, there's one habit that's probably harder than it sounds, but it might be one of the most important: staying away from your phone for the first hour. It's so easy to reach for it without even thinking. Notifications, messages, updates, they pull you in immediately. And just like that, your attention is no longer yours. You're reacting instead of choosing. Someone else's priorities, someone else's problems, someone else's timeline starts filling your head before you've even had a chance to set your own direction. That first hour is valuable because your mind is still clear. Your energy hasn't been scattered yet. If you give that time away, you start your day on someone else's terms. But if you protect it, even just a little, you feel the difference. You feel more grounded. Less rushed. More in control of how your day unfolds. Your phone isn't going anywhere. The messages can wait. But that quiet, focused state you have in the morning, that disappears quickly once the day gets going. So holding on to it, even for a short time, matters more than it seems. After that, there's another habit that can feel a bit unusual at first, but it's incredibly effective when you actually practice it: visualizing your goals. This isn't about daydreaming randomly. It's about being intentional with what you see in your mind. Close your eyes for a moment and picture where you want to go. Not vaguely, but clearly. What does it look like when things start working out? Where are you? What are you doing? How does it feel? Try to step into that version of your life, even if it's just for a minute or two. What this does is train your mind to recognize that direction. It makes your goals feel more real, less distant. Instead of constantly thinking about what's missing or what's not working, you start focusing on what you're building toward. And that shift changes how you act. You begin to move with more intention. You make decisions with that vision in mind. You start noticing opportunities you might have ignored before. It's not something magical. It's mental preparation. People who perform at a high level in any field use this approach in some form. They mentally walk through what they want to achieve before they step into it. Because when your mind has already seen it, your actions tend to follow with more confidence. From there, grounding yourself in gratitude brings everything back into balance. Before the day picks up speed, take a moment to recognize what's already there in your life. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It could be something simple, something you normally overlook. The point isn't what it is. It's the act of noticing it. Because it shifts your focus away from constantly chasing what's missing. When you start your day thinking only about what you don't have yet, it creates pressure. It builds tension before you've even begun. But when you acknowledge what's already present, it changes your energy. You feel more steady. Less rushed. More appreciative of where you are while still working toward where you want to go. It also reminds you that not everything you have came from your effort alone. There are people, moments, and circumstances that helped shape where you are right now. That awareness keeps you grounded. And at the same time, it makes you more patient. You stop feeling like everything has to happen immediately. You trust the process a little more. After setting that mental foundation, it's time to actually step into action. And this is where a lot of people hesitate. Instead of starting with what matters most, they drift toward easier tasks. Things that don't require much effort. Things that feel comfortable. But the real shift happens when you flip that pattern. Look at your list and find the one thing you've been avoiding. The one that feels heavy or uncomfortable. Start there. It won't feel easy. But that's exactly why it matters. When you handle the hardest task fast, something changes internally. You build momentum early. You prove to yourself that you can face difficulty instead of pushing it aside. And once that's done, everything else feels lighter by comparison. If you keep delaying it, it just sits in the back of your mind all day. Draining your focus, adding pressure, creating stress that doesn't need to be there. But when you deal with it right away, you free up that mental space. And that sense of progress carries into everything else you do. Over time, this habit builds a kind of mental strength that's hard to shake. You stop fearing difficult tasks because you've trained yourself to face them directly. You stop negotiating with yourself about whether you feel like doing something. You just start. And that consistency is what separates intention from real progress. Once you've handled the hardest part of your day, something shifts in your energy. You're not dragging yourself forward anymore, you're moving with momentum. And from that place, even small actions start to feel more meaningful. Now there's one more habit that might seem simple, almost too small to matter, but it carries a surprising amount of impact, your expression and the way you speak as you move through your morning. Before you step fully into your day, take a second and notice your face. Not in a critical way, just observe it. Then gently shift it. A small, real smile. Not forced, not fake. Just a quiet decision. It might feel insignificant, but your body responds to it. Your mood follows it. There's a connection there that most people ignore because it seems too basic. But when you start your day with even a slight sense of ease on your face, it sends a signal inward. Things feel a bit lighter. Less tense. And then your words, those matter just as much. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself and how you speak out loud in those early hours. Because the tone you set carries forward. If the first things you say are complaints, frustration, or negativity, that tone spreads into everything else. It colors your interactions. It affects your decisions. But if you choose your words a little more carefully, you can shift that. Instead of saying you're exhausted, you might say you're getting started. Instead of focusing on how long the day will be, you focus on what you're going to get done. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing a direction for your mindset. Words shape how you experience your day more than you realize. And it doesn't just affect you. The people around you pick up on it too. Your family, your coworkers, even strangers in small interactions, they respond to the energy you bring. A calm, steady tone. A bit of positivity. It creates a different kind of environment around you. You don't have to be loud about it. It's not about overdoing anything. Just consistent, simple choices in how you show up. Because most people walk into their day already weighed down, already tense, already expecting things to go wrong. And when you come in with a different energy, it stands out without you trying. Now, stepping back and looking at all of this together, there's a bigger picture forming. Your morning isn't just a routine. It's a foundation. If that foundation is rushed, distracted, and reactive, then everything built on top of it feels unstable. You're constantly catching up, constantly adjusting, constantly feeling behind. But if your morning is steady, intentional, and focused, then the rest of your day has something solid to stand on. You're not thrown off as easily. You recover faster when things don't go as planned. You make clearer decisions. And over time, these mornings start stacking. One day doesn't change everything. But repeated days like this, they start to reshape how you live. Because your life is made up of your days. And your days are shaped by how you begin them. A lot of people want big change. They want different results, better outcomes, more progress. But they hold on to the same habits, the same rushed mornings, the same patterns that keep them stuck. Change doesn't usually come from one big decision. It comes from smaller ones, repeated consistently. Waking up a little earlier. Sitting in silence for a few minutes. Moving your body. Choosing your priorities. Protecting your attention. Feeding your mind something useful. Facing what's difficult first. Speaking with intention. None of these on their own seem dramatic. But together, they create a rhythm. And that rhythm turns into a different way of living. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't just go through the motions. Be aware of that moment. Because it's easy to overlook, easy to rush past. But it's also an opportunity. Not to be perfect. Not to do everything flawlessly. Just to be a little more intentional than yesterday. Wake up your mind, not just your body. Give yourself a few quiet minutes before the world starts asking things from you. Set a direction, even if it's simple. And then follow through as best as you can. Some days will feel easier than others. Some mornings won't go as planned. That's normal. What matters is that you keep coming back to it. You keep trying again the next day. Because over time, that effort builds something real. And eventually, you notice the difference, not just in what you get done, but in how you feel doing it. More steady. More focused. More in control. So remember this as you move forward, the way you start your morning doesn't just affect a few hours. It quietly shapes the direction of your life.